every day I think about this. Every waking minute I think about the genocide in Gaza, as I'm sure so many people do, Palestinians or non-Palestinians. I think this is the moment where people of conscience, regardless of where they are, who they are, regardless of their religious identity, Muslim, Christian, Jewish, agnostic, atheist, Buddhist, I can go on down the list. Um, People of conscience should all, and I think a lot of them are, thinking that this is not the right way. We are, if this is what humanity is all about, then we have failed as a humanity, as the idea, the project, the idea of humanity. And I think, unfortunately, what has happened over the past couple of years has shown, in the sense that um, those values that talked about democracy, human rights, and all that are only connected to specific people, and unfortunately to people who are not brown people, more or less. And similarly, I think we have to look at take a very deep look inwards, and kind of think about, where do I stand in terms of my values? And this is a moral question, but it's also an existential moment, in my opinion. It's a very serious moment for humanity. It's not because I study Palestine that I want to say, oh, Palestine is everything in the world. But at this point, it is. It has become the most central, most significant issue for people to think about. I mean, when you talk about um, tens of thousands of Palestinians being killed, okay? When you talk about children being killed to records that have not been matched by any war in the 20th century since the beginning of the war. You're talking about like really horrendous things happening, yet the world has not moved to stop it, to slow it down. And in fact, recently the Biden administration had, some leaked information said that the Biden administration had done they did not even ask the Israelis for a ceasefire, and they continued to provide weapons. So how do people, in a sense, the question is, how does one consider themselves to be human, on the one hand, and then two, allow something like this to happen? The Palestine exception should not be an exception. It shouldn't exist. There should be no exception to Palestinians, Muslim kids, Arab kids, Jewish kids, brown kids, white kids. There has to be a level of respect for human life, respect for human dignity, that unfortunately we have gone to the furthest points, the lowest points, in my opinion. I never imagined that we would get to the point that is this bad, but we are. However, that said, I also want to say, despite the fact that I'm very pessimistic and very sad about the state of the world, I'm also optimistic. And as in the sense, like as I mentioned earlier, Palestinian resilience and Palestinian forward looking is something that will save Palestinians. Not in this particular moment, maybe we don't see it, but change takes time, and it's very painful and it's hard, but ultimately Palestinians will have their justice and they will have equality, and the issue of Palestine will have to be addressed one way or another.